All right, let's jump right in. We all get the idea of ownership, right? My house, my phone, my ideas. It's kind of how we make sense of the world. But what is that very idea, the one we lean on so much, is actually a heavy weight we're carrying around without even knowing it? Today, we're going to explore a perspective that might just change how you see everything you call mine. This question, wow, it gets right to the heart of it all. It's almost like everything you own is silently asking you this every single day. And, how you answer that question really determines whether you walk through life feeling heavy and tied down or light and connected. So let's figure out where all that weight is coming from.
So, where does this all go wrong? I mean, owning things isn't inherently bad. The problem starts with this tiny little shift in our minds. It's the moment this simple idea of having something turns into this absolute heavy burden. And here it is. This is the tipping point. The problem isn't having stuff. It's when we start believing deep down that what we have is ours forever, that we're the one and only source. That's the seed of the whole illusion, mistaking something that's just on loan for something we own outright. Now, how does this illusion get so powerful? Well, it's not some big, complicated scheme. It's actually built piece by piece, using the simplest words we say all the time. Let's break down how that happens. It all starts so small, you barely notice it. You have a thought, a little flash of inspiration, and right away you say, "That's my idea." Seems harmless, but that's the very first brick being laid in the wall. And then that idea, it works out. You hit a goal, you achieve something, and you declare, "That was my success." You can feel it, right? That feeling of ownership. It gets a little stronger, a little more focused on just you. And then the final piece falls into place. You look back at all the hard work and you call it my labor. By saying my idea, my success, my labor over and over again, you build this powerful illusion. Suddenly, you're not just a part of the story, you're the sole creator, the absolute origin of your entire world. And this illusion, believe me, it has a real cost. When we think we have absolute ownership over things, we can start to think we can control people the same way. A position of authority which should be about service, it twists into a need to dominate. Success stops being a joy and becomes a source of tension, something you have to guard. Even being a good person becomes like a transaction, a debt you expect other people to pay back. This little couplet just nails it, doesn't it? The more we cling to things, screaming mine, the heavier they get. But here's the good news. There is another way, a way to walk lightly, and it all starts with changing how we see things. Okay, so this brings us to the big pivot, the core solution. It's a powerful shift in perspective, moving away from ownership and towards something called the consciousness of trust. And listen, this isn't about having nothing. It's about seeing everything in a whole new light. The central idea here is a concept called amana, or entrustment. I want you to try this. Think of everything you have, your talents, your knowledge, even your home, not as something you own, but as a sacred loan. Something that's been given to you for a time to be used well and for the right reasons. And when you put these two mindsets side by side, the difference is just stark. On one hand, you've got absolute possession. It's heavy, it cuts you off from others, it's full of tension. But on the other hand, you have the consciousness of trust, and it's light. It connects you, it brings peace, and it pushes you to use what you have for a good purpose, not just to hoard it away. Okay, so this is a super important point. This isn't about saying you can't own things, not at all. Think of the consciousness of trust as the measure of possession. It's the framework, the yardstick that lets us have things and work for things without completely forgetting where they came from and what our real relationship to them is. And what's really cool is that once you start thinking this way, it doesn't just change how you see your stuff, it completely changes how you see people. It naturally starts to shift your focus from this isolated I to a much more connected we. And this isn't about erasing who you are. No, it's actually a really healthy journey. First, the I realizes, hey, I'm not the center of the universe. Then you start to see your very self as a kind of trust. That sense of responsibility naturally pulls you toward others because a trust is something you manage with care. And out of that shared sense of care, a real we starts to form, one built on fairness, not on pressure. I absolutely love this line. A healthy we doesn't swallow you whole. It's more like it organizes everyone, giving each person their own proper place and purpose. It creates a kind of harmony, not conformity. The I is still there, but it's not alone anymore. It's part of something stronger, something bigger. And here's the beautiful trade-off. When we move from I to we, that heavy load of individual ownership, it gets lighter. But something else grows, our shared responsibility. And what's amazing is that this bigger responsibility doesn't crush us. Actually, it's what helps us all stand a little bit taller. So, where does all this lead? What's the end game? Well, it's not just about having things or not having things. It's about finding your true position in the world, because that's where genuine peace comes from. So much of modern life tells us that security comes from piling up more and more stuff. But this perspective, it flips that idea on its head. It suggests that real peace, true security, comes from knowing your place, from understanding that your role is to be a carrier of a trust. When you know your place, you automatically know how to use what you've been given.
And this final thought really brings it all home. Everything we own will, eventually, pass on to someone or something else. But how we handle the trust we were given, that leaves a mark. The illusion of ownership makes us forget we're part of a bigger picture. But the consciousness of trust, that constantly reminds us of exactly where we stand. So, I'll leave you with this question. As you go about your day, just take a look at the things you call mine and ask yourself, are you carrying that exhausting weight of absolute ownership, or are you walking with the incredible lightness of trust? The choice, as always, is yours.